Throughout my own life and fitness journey, I have had the privilege of meeting incredible people who've shared valuable insights on mindset, health, fitness, and spiritual growth. The profound impact of this knowledge on my own life has inspired me to share it with all of you. I'm Erica Sweeney, host and founder of My Fit Tribe podcast. Join me as we explore inspiring conversations with experts, thought leaders, and everyday heroes who offer their stories and practical tips to help you on your own journey. From nutrition and fitness to mental well-being and personal or spiritual growth, our mission is to empower you to take charge of your health and live your best life. We are more than just a podcast, we are a community. Through coaching, a wealth of shared knowledge, and a strong support network, we are here to guide and encourage you every step of the way. Come be a part of our tribe. In this episode of the My Fit Tribe podcast, I'm joined by personal trainer Jamie Robinson. We go beyond fitness and mindset and really peel back the layers on life's challenges. Together, we explore how, no matter what chapter you're in, it's just as important, if not more, to train and heal your mind and soul. Life is beautiful, especially when you're able to share it with others, and this conversation is a powerful reminder of that. Today on the show, I'm excited to welcome Jamie Robinson, a wellness and movement coach who helps people reduce pain, build strength, and move with confidence. Jamie focuses on mindful, sustainable practices that reconnect people to their bodies and support long-term well-being. His approach is grounded, compassionate, and rooted in real-life transformation, making him a powerful guide for anyone looking to feel and live better. Hi, Jamie. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I love having these conversations because as people go through journeys in your life, we talked a little bit before we started, they take you to different places that's unexpected. So let's get you familiar to the audience. What is your history with fitness and wellness? Where did you start?
Well, I started in sports, and I have an older brother who's a bodybuilder. He's 4 years older than me. And when I say a bodybuilder, almost 300 pounds in the off season, so really big. And so I grew up around boxing, football, basketball, bodybuilding, all of it. So it was in my household. And so I've been playing sports since I was, Pop Warner football and all of that. But I got into bodybuilding probably around 21, 22, where I really became passionate about it. And, it really became a focus point in my life. It kept me on a good track, which I can go into some of the things earlier on in my life where I was off track, if you will. I focused on bodybuilding. I got certified as a personal trainer in 2006 and have been on that path since. But there has been a major shift about 10 years ago, just shy of 10 years ago, where I went from just focusing on the body and having big bodies and performance. Though I still do that, I put a lot of attention on what's going on inside. So my philosophy is training from the inside out, which just means that we're looking at why do we do the things that we do and why don't we do the things we say we want to do? And what is that story that we have in our head? What's the cycle of thinking and feeling that has us being physically who we are? And so I'm really that compassionate trainer, but I also bring the fire. And I bring empathy, because we change moment by moment. Our feelings, our emotions, they shift moment by moment based on what's going on in our lives. And so that could determine what we do and what we don't do on a daily basis. So I'm the trainer that's more curious about your life. Yes, we have the metrics. Yes, we have the structure that has to be focused on, but it's more of a moment-by-moment process where it's kind of like the stock market, It's like it's a process of ebbs and flows. So I would say that I went from being that rah, big 250-pound bodybuilder with the armor on and many masks to cover up my insecurities to a vulnerable trainer, someone who admits that he doesn't have it all together. And that's beautiful. It's perfect. And I want to be on a journey with, in tandem, other people who want to better their lives, physically, psychologically, emotionally.
I think that's important because I feel like everybody should want to better their lives. So I get frustrated sometimes when I see people not even trying, because there's so much to learn in life, not only with your nutrition and your fitness, but as you mentioned, inside and how you're thinking. And I think sometimes people see people who are fit and they think it's easy for them all the time. So I'm really glad that you brought up that you had to make a change and really focus on that and be vulnerable. We touched a little bit on that before the show. So what changed in your life where you realized that you had to make a change?
Well, life happened. It wasn't me saying, I'm going to make these changes. Certain events happened. I was in denial. So in order to answer that question, I got to give you context. I was in a relationship in the New York City area, and I was still doing personal training part-time, but I got into real estate in that area for a little over 3 years, and both my partner and I at the time were doing real estate together. Well, I was doing every recreational drug you could imagine. This was after I competed in the Eastern USAs in 2012, had microfracture knee surgery in 2013, realized I don't want to keep doing that for a trophy, and decided I was going to get involved in real estate. Well, in so doing, I was just, I didn't have any goals outside of just making deals, and I was partying all the time, and my partner and I were enabling each other. And so I was in denial a lot. I suppressed what I was really feeling through substances. I was drinking daily. We did everything from, you name it, cocaine to ecstasy. And I think I'll leave it there just for the sake of I don't want to say anything about my previous partner, but we were not aligned. And so there came a point where we couldn't deny it anymore. And there was a big just release. I let go of the home we were living in, 6.5-year relationship, dog, real estate. And I had a music studio in Astoria, Queens, and I decided to go live there. And it's illegal because there was no windows. It smelled like musk down there. So I was sleeping on a blow-up air mattress, eating from the hot cold bar at the 24-hour supermarket down the street, and I was showering at the Synergy Fitness, which is 24 hours, and shaving. And I said, I have to go on this inward journey. I didn't know. I was simultaneously grieving, uncertain, yet certain at the same time, meaning that I didn't know what the future was going to be holding for me. I just knew that there was some clear yeses. One of them was, at the time, I thought I was going to go live in an ashram out in California, not to become a monk, but just to, get away and serve a community and go more inward. And so that process was a very interesting time because, I was letting go of an identity. So there was the real estate and all that, but also just the body. I was starting to care less and less about how I looked and I cared more about being in every moment, witnessing life unfolding in front of me, noticing what's alive in me moment by moment based on what I'm experiencing. And so I lost a lot of weight doing that. I said, I don't care about calories anymore. I don't care if I weigh 220, 30, 40, 50 pounds. I got down to 189 pounds, which for me at 6 feet tall is pretty thin. And so this process was like a complete 180. Now, I found a balance, right? But at that time, it was really shifting to the other side, caring more about my internal state of being less than what it looked like on the outside. So it was a combination of realizing that I could not continue the way I was going, and the universe, whatever you want to call it, God, infinite intelligence, that which is moving in through and as all of us, said, enough. It's done. And I don't want to say force, but there was some resistance within me, and the universe was like, no, go. You have to go. And so there was, like I said, a process of grieving and becoming at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I think the last thing I want to share about that is it's important that I bring this up. So we're sitting in this room, and I don't know if it's this room, but my wife recorded her album here. I met Jake through my wife. And so that's the thing about synchronicity and saying yes to the things that are aligned. When I was in that state, when I was living in that basement, a friend of mine invited me to a Marianne Williamson lecture at Marble Collegiate Church in New York City. And I went to that event with him and loved every second of it. I felt filled up, everything about it. It was a teaching of A Course in Miracles, if any of your listeners are familiar with it. And I said, okay, this is the energy I want to be around more. This is the community I want to be a part of. And so the next week I wanted to go. So I asked my friend if he was going. He said, I'm not going. So I decided to go alone. Well, it just so happens that a woman sat in front of me. And we were looking at this is 2016, we were looking at the results they were showing the results of the election at the time in 2016. And I leaned in and I just started up a conversation, and she said, I voted absentee in Wisconsin because I figured they could use the help. And I said, you're from Wisconsin? I'm from Beloit. She said, I'm from Madison. And so we were like, all right, we're going to be friends tonight. Well, I just let it out. I let Erica everything out. I just said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm honestly, I'm lost right now. I'm basically not homeless, but I'm living in a little musty basement, and I don't know. This is my plan. So by doing that, she turned around, she grabbed the back of the pew, looked right at me and said, you have no idea. Your life is going to get so good. It may not feel like it now, but the choices you're making, your life. Now, little did she know that she was going to be a big part of that process.
That is so good.
So, your question was what led to this transformation, and it was a lot of pain, a lot of denial of self, true self, beyond all of the distractions and the substances that were numbing me from feeling my feelings. And once I started to own that, I said, wait a minute. I don't want to keep going down the path that I've been going down. That's all learned. That's conditioning. I learned that from somebody else. Is that really me? And so, there's a lot more to it, but you get the idea. Now, last thing I'll say before we move on is that now this is almost 10 years ago, I have since found a balance where I still love fitness. I take care of my body. I still love weightlifting, all of it. And I don't do that at the expense of my internal work as well. It's a both and, not an either or.
There's so much I want to delve into. So I know there's a lot of people listening who either are or have been or know somebody who has been in that spot where they're at the bottom, or what they think is the bottom. You knew that you had to make a change, and then making a change, I feel like, is a big pivot. What advice do you give for people who, again, either know someone or are going through it themselves to be able to start that inward process? Because that's a change in perspective that is hard to make.
The best way I can describe it, there's a witness, right? It's in a lot of books. Michael Singer talks about this. There's, Eckhart Tolle, all the spiritual guides and all this. They talk about this, that there's always a witness behind the thoughts, behind the physical body. And that witness is where we go. It's the seat behind the thoughts. It's the seat of consciousness. And so that's why things like meditation or mindful walking, these kind of practices, it's not about getting it right. It's not about the goal. There is no goal. Mm-hmm. You just eliminate that word. You're just being. Thoughts, let it go. Sensations, let it go. And things start to happen. Alignment starts, congruency starts to bubble up within oneself, and everybody's different. My version of that was, first it was crying. I had to grieve for a moment. Then it turned to anger. Then it turned to self-criticism. Then it turned to, and there's this process, this evolution that happens to self-acceptance, self-love. And then you pour that outward. And so pause, journal, be with yourself. Take 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be meditation. This idea of it has to be one form or another is part of the issue when it comes to this idea of words are clunky. So, we do our best to convey this, but I'll say spirituality in this case. So being on a spiritual path is just literally being. It's becoming a witness to your experience. And then all the actions come from that, right? The aligned actions. And here's the thing, is that when we start to operate from that deeper place in the world, we know where our boundaries are. We know who's aligned and who's not. We say yes and we say no based on that clarity within us. So spiritual living is more about living in power and creator consciousness as opposed to reactivity based on what's happening out here. So I would say journaling, meditation, if that works for you, mindful walking, or groups that focus on this kind of stuff. If you're a man and you want to be a part of a men's group, or, just get into community with like-minded people who share these philosophies, these thoughts. And I don't even like that word philosophy. It's more just a way of being in the world.
Yeah, you really learn your tribe, right? When you're in an environment where you may be partying too much, or you're around people who bring you down or feel toxic. And then when you start to have that self-reflection and you start to feel more at one with your true self, you're right, those other people that are supposed to be in your life come there. And it's really, we talked before the show, it's those breadcrumbs that you're on the right track and doing the right things with the right people. What type of experiences have you had? You mentioned that, you felt spirit with you, help guiding you along the path. What was that like for you?
They're gentle nudges. There's an intuitive hit, and words can't describe it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. It doesn't really, I don't know why it makes sense, but it does. And I'm just going to do it. I mean, I'm here right now for that reason. I was at the event earlier for that reason. I'm in Wisconsin for that reason. All of this has to do with the choice to do more self-inquiry. Now, there are many tools that you can use, such as the work of Byron Katie, so if you're asking me for your listeners of different things that they can look into to help on this journey, the work of Byron Katie, asking ourselves some of the stories that we tell ourselves, is it true? Who do you become when you believe that thought? Who would you be without it? Right? So there's practical tools, and a bunch of them. Nonviolent communication, look into that. But we all have an intrinsic knowing within ourselves, and we're all uniquely built. Life, and I use this every time, life is moving and having its being in us, through us, as us, right? Most of our bodily processes we are not under conscious control of. They just happen on our behalf. We identify as a fitness person. That's learned. That's a choice. And you can choose different in any moment. Now, I love fitness. I'm going to do it hopefully for the rest of my life.
Right.
It's a passion of mine. It's something I'm really good at and very knowledgeable about. But the foundation of what I do is just really focused on everything we're talking about right now, which is connection to self. Every day you wake up is an opportunity to live the life that you desire. Are your actions aligned with that desired outcome? And if not, let's talk about it. Why? What are you feeling? What are you needing? Is your life set up for you to actualize the life that you say you want? Is there fear, doubt, worry, uncertainty? Do you need support? Need, right? Your needs, your feelings. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling scared. I'm needing support. I'm needing clarity. Okay, well, let's focus on that, because the rest will take care of itself. You're going to go for the walk. You're going to choose the other food. Or if I always say this, if somebody is eating a lot of sweets, for example, late at night, and I got to give credit where it's due. My wife, Melissa Simonson, is the one that brought this to my attention, coming from David Bedrick. I hope I said his name right. If you're reaching for sweets, where are you lacking sweetness in your life? You notice the tone that I have right now. As a personal trainer, I'm attracting, by being this person, compared to the just get it done, right. Eat the chicken, eat this, eat that. I'm attracting a certain energy of people. Like you said, some people leave, some people come in, both are a blessing, right? And so I'm attracting that. I'm allowing that into my life by just living it inside first and then expressing it outwardly. And those who are not aligned, I love you and goodbye.
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish you well, because I love everybody, and I mean that. And for those who are meant to be in my life for whatever purpose, for however long, I say yes, and so it is. Let's co-create life.
And I think it's important that we learn from everybody, right? Because when those people come in your life, usually it ends up for a reason. You're supposed to learn something, or they're supposed to learn something based on your interaction, which I think is really cool when you look at the universe or life that way, that you understand that everything is there to happen for you, not to you. And it's really including those relationships. So it's kind of fun to approach life as a learning tool along the way. Mm-hmm. So as you started down this journey then and spent more time within yourself, what did you start learning about yourself and finding your strengths that you knew that you wanted to share this with other people?
Well, it was a process, of course. Like I said, I had no idea I was going to get back involved in the fitness industry at the level that I have. I think that the key is I'm not in the driver's seat. And this is in our culture, that sounds like counter to what our society deems like productive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, It's like you got to go out and make it happen. Yeah, you have to take actions, aligned actions with patience and consistency over a period of time. So for my process was say yes to the next thing. Say yes to the next thing. But here's the thing is that as we know on a healing journey, there's ebbs and flows, there's ups and downs. You think you have it together and then life comes and smacks you. Nope, there's another layer of the onion to peel back. Peel it back. Oh, you're good for a little while. You got a new status quo. Let's peel another layer back and unveil a new thing you have to look at. So that is the process. It's a process of becoming the person that you want to be, which for me was a compassionate, empathetic, softer man, a vulnerable man. And I actually, Jim Carrey wrote down $10 million and he folded it up and put it in his wallet and he wanted to manifest $10 million, right? I don't know if you know that story, but he did that. In my wallet, I have one that has the virtues that I choose to live by. Now, have I honored them 100% during this almost 10 years? Nah, I wouldn't be honest if I said I did, but vulnerability is the top one. As a man, in our Western culture in 2025, if I am not leading with vulnerability, I am not honoring myself. Now, it doesn't mean I walk around all day long like, oh, my life it was hard today. No, it's more like, I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling overwhelmed and I showed up. And I think that's the missing piece in our culture is just rise and grind and do the thing. And, so I think, again, my journey has been one in which I am putting spiritual practice first. Spiritual practice is not an option. It is the foundation of life for me. Everything else comes from that. All my appointments, I show up with that. So when I think about that list that is in my wallet, that's part of my spiritual practice. Vulnerability, honesty, compassion, listening, to create a container of trust with human beings so that we can be that space for one another. And if I'm walking around having all the answers, like I, have everything together, well, that's that insecure guy, I'll just say guy, who was afraid to really reveal himself. I'm a softie.
Well, I think a lot of people are afraid to reveal themselves when they want to appear as their picture perfect, but nobody is, right?
I still do it. I'll post up a picture and I'm like, oh, that angle wasn't right. And I'll cut the picture. Now I catch myself more. And this is the beautiful thing about the honesty is like, I don't claim to be on the other side. I'm not enlightened. And I never will be. In fact, that's the beauty is I'm on a path to reaching enlightenment and I will never get there in this lifetime. Right. But the quest, that is the vision, right? So as long as I am choosing to operate with thoughts and actions and a feeling state that aligns with that, then I'm honoring myself and those who I interact with. And here's the thing is Marianne Williamson's quote says this really well, which is, I'm going to paraphrase it, but when we shine our light, we give other people permission to do the same. Mm-hmm. And our life is duality, up, down, front, back, right? Feelings associated with met needs, feelings associated with unmet needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can all experience this. That's the common thread with human beings, right? So we don't get to just have it all together. We were talking about this earlier. The people that say they have it all together or present themselves like they are the ones that actually do not have it together. Now, I'm not going to say that as a fact because I don't know everybody, but I'm saying that in my experience, in my life at least, that's the truth. So I'd rather just put it out there and not allow fear to drive my life. I want honesty and compassion and love to be the foundation of what I do and to let go of judgments, of inner judgments towards others based on my perceptions. I want to create less suffering through my thinking, right? And here's the thing about fitness or bodybuilding or powerlifting or sports in any kind of sport is that we can be really hard on ourselves. We can be flat out cruel. I know I have been, especially when I was a competitor.
Right.
So that's a choice. It's like the analogy of putting your hand on a hot stove. Pain is inevitable. Emotional pain, you lose somebody, you lose a pet, that's painful. You touch a hot stove, that's going to be painful. But then what we do mentally and emotionally is we create this narrative over and over, day after day, and we hold on to it as an identity. And if things don't go exactly how we need them to go, we get upset and it's this person and that person. Well, the analogy is that pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. You kept your hand on the hot burner. You're choosing that every day. So my goal is, how do you be in this world of fitness and health, well-being, bodybuilding, whatever you want to call it, they're all labels, and pursue your passion, yet reduce suffering in the process. And that sounds like an interesting task. That's a tall order because the process of competing is pretty rooted in suffering. But we're not talking about the moment-by-moment suffering that where you're pushing your body beyond it. We're talking about once you are done with that part, you let it go. It's the process of letting go and being in the present moment after that. But what we do is we hold on and we bring that into our lives and we create an identity with it. And so I'm not saying anything's good, bad, right, or wrong. I'm saying that my goal is to be in this world of fitness, to do the hard things, progressive overload, all of it, right? Push our bodies within reason. For me, because I'm 46 now and I have some injuries and I don't want to put my body through what I did, 15 plus years ago. But for the younger people, and when I say younger, I'm talking the 20-year-old, teenagers, 20s, even early 30s, is to find some practice or community that has you looking on the inside as well as your external goals and endeavors.
So I'm going to delve into that a little bit too. So for me, I got into bodybuilding at age 45. Competed my first show in 46. But for me, doing something hard like that was so empowering for me because that was not something I had challenged myself to do in a journey that was just mine, right? Like I built a business, I had raised kids, I had done great things, but this was unique to what I was doing. I put forth the effort and I saw the result. So for me, doing those really hard things are really cool. And I love it that when people challenge themselves to do hard things. But you're right, there is a balance that you don't overdo it, you don't hurt yourself, and that you stay in the right place mentally. So have you seen that be a struggle for people?
Yeah. Because I don't want to put other people's names out there, but There's people that I know where when they were getting ready for competition, they were not pleasant to be around. Mm-hmm. And we never get those moments back. So if you're a competitor and you have kids, and you're a competitor and you have a spouse and you have family members or an older, let's say, mother that's still alive, and you're like, I don't have time for that. I got to cross T's, dot I's. I mean, I was that guy too. You start to become shorter with people, less patient. You start to become judgmental, irritable. You can't fully get around that because you're putting your body through literally hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so dehydrated. I felt terrible when I looked, quote unquote, my best. I was 4% body fat. I don't have the answers. It's not about having answers. It's just I encourage all of us as human beings co-creating life together to pursue your passion because that fills you up. You're empowering yourself and others. Be the greatest you can be. And I guess the challenge then is, can you do that and be somewhat pleasant to be around and find ways that strategies, people that remind you that this is just a contest. When you're on your deathbed, what's going to matter the most is the relationships you had, not a plastic trophy or a glass trophy or whatever kind of trophy. They don't even give good trophies anymore. They don't. They're terrible. Okay, they're great. Then they sit up there, collect dust, and then you're gone, and then, that was your legacy. The jerk, the person that you don't want to be around because you were so self-focused. Now, this can trigger people. I'm a very soft-natured guy, if you will. Like I'm goofy. I like to play around, very compassionate. At least that's what I tell myself. But when I get focused, you're in my way. Get out of my way. You're slowing me down. I can't do this. I can't do that because X, Y, and Z, because I got to be the best. You end up becoming isolated. And then you're alone. And when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to care about the trophy. You're going to care about being alone. So my thought is, can you have both?
Absolutely.
And my answer to that is absolutely. Mm-hmm. Why can't you? Of course you can.
Right.
You know, and this isn't for everybody. I mean, I know some big teddy bears who, like, I know people who at the top level of bodybuilding and powerlifting, who even during competition, I mean, look at people like Kai Green. I'm sure he has his moments, but Kai Green's awesome, man. Like, that guy's fun. He's joking. He's artistic. You know, he's meeting with people, and he's built quite a legacy as a bodybuilder for himself. Mm-hmm. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, another great example. You know, it's possible, but many competitors that I've known, and I know a lot of competitors from the top IFBB pros all the way down to, you know, amateur, is people can become very mean and stay away from me.
Yeah.
You know, so if it's possible, if that's the takeaway. Compete, do your thing, rock on.
Right.
And, you know, be a spiritual warrior.
So one thing you work with people on is really, as people get older, to make sure that they're incorporating that fitness and that strength to help support their body to do the things that they love, whether it be getting down on your knees to play with your grandkids or, you know, being active in a sport or whatever it may be. As you're getting older, you're still very young yet. Yeah. How are you finding the importance of staying fit and staying strong in order to continue that quality of life?
Well, I'm certified in yoga now.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm exploring some options. I'm not going to say anything yet because there's no agreements or contracts done yet. But I'm exploring some options in the yoga mindfulness area. So I still lift weights because I understand the importance of it, but I don't abuse my body like I used to. Okay. That's the first thing, is for younger competitors who are competing at the top level, you just have to do that. There's no getting around it. You really do. You know, you have to push your body to the max. Crazy amount of reps, drop sets, supersets, and the diet and the supplements and all the stuff that go with it, right? For me, as I age, I am doing exactly everything that I've already talked about. I'm living the spiritual life, first in quiet moments, right? All the motivational speakers talk about this. Do it in quiet, and it will manifest in public, you know? So I'm doing it, and here I am talking about it, but this is how I live my life. And then I go to the gym and I work out, and sometimes I push it too much and my body rebels, and it's like, yeah, that's why you don't do that. But that's the process, right? Because I am competitive, and I never will not be competitive.
Right.
I love it. Like you said, it's empowering. Mm-hmm. That's my process, is to make spiritual practice the foundation, not go into this life with an either-or concept, like, oh, if I'm doing this, I can't do that. I live both. I'm a spiritual being in a physical body, and hey, man, my body temple, I want to keep it looking good, right. You know, as I age. So there's that, but I don't want to keep it, quote unquote, looking good at the expense of how I feel.
Right.
So that's my mindset going into training now compared to what it used to be. Now, and I approach my clients with that same mentality. And of course, my client base has changed because I'm training for longevity. I'm training for balance. If you got hip, issues, your knees are bothering you, you got low back issues. We're looking at your whole life and doing movements in a modified way and progressing from there, learning how to get your body moving and functioning properly again. And here's the thing is like, in my experience, when I say most people, I'm talking about most people that I've worked with, they're not connected to their body. It's the neurons are what tell muscles to fire, your nervous system. So most people are like, I don't feel it. They don't have no clue what's going on. You have to almost do neuroplasticity style training.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they don't think of a bodybuilder when they're going through a posing routine. You're exhaling, you're smiling, you're turning, you're retracting, depressing. You're doing all the things in the different planes of motion, right? And you're connecting to your body and you know every detail of what you're doing. Engaging the glutes, right? You need to bring that to the gym. And that's what I teach, slow loop motor control. It's like people who go, if you're in a car accident, let's say, and you're relearning how to use your body properly so that you don't atrophy in certain areas and overdevelop in other areas, you use external stimulus, sometimes muscle stimulators, but then you do modified exercise in a slow fashion so that your nervous system can be re-educated. I find that people who have, quote unquote, been in the gym for many years really don't know what they're doing, and they're not connected to their body like they need to be. So we kind of start over. And I'm pretty good at bringing that to their attention, not from a place of like, like I said, blame, shame, or guilt,
Right.
from a place of like, hey, do you want to feel better? This is what we do. And my success rate is very high. And most of my clients now are people who are focused on this kind of life, who just have maybe their hips are bothering them, or knee, or they just need general weight loss, or they're just, like you said, functional strength. They don't have good functional strength. One of my clients, David, he's just so happy, not only for the total body weight loss that has happened in lower body fat percentage, but for the fact that he can take a 40-pound bag of dog food, grab it with one hand and pull it across his body and put it in without hurting himself. That wasn't possible before. That's quality of life. And that's what I mean is quality of life looks different for everybody. But at the end of the day, for all of us, if we don't feel good, and that's why I say this, it's on my website, Health is Wealth. If you don't believe me, try enjoying the things you love when you're not feeling well. Try it.
Right. Yeah. You have a million problems until you don't have your health. Then you only have one.
That's it. And we all know it, but
Right.
we don't live it. And that's my goal, is to live it to the best of my ability. Again, I'm not perfect at it because I am so conditioned. I'm 46. I started this more, I would call it an inward journey or spiritual journey, in about around 2016, so not even a full 10 years. And you know what? It's been a bumpy road at times, man. Just this last week, there's been some pretty big bumps in the road, and I'm feeling them, but that's why we're here, to talk about this stuff, vulnerability.
Well, those bumps in the road, they can throw you off course when you start that fitness journey. We've got the New Year's coming up in 6 weeks now, or whatever it is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want to start off the new year with those goals and those intentions, and a lot of people fall off of that really quick. Like, it's important to let people know that you are going to have those bumps in the road. And how do you get people to stay moving forward, whether it be, again, with their spiritual journey or fitness or nutrition or whatever their life journey is? When those bumps come, staying course is difficult.
2 words: compassion and empathy. When my clients they feel seen, heard, validated, they don't feel shame, there's an opening. Again, I don't have the description of like how to convince anybody that this is the way.
Right.
This is the way that's worked for me with the client base that I have, which means that I show up compassionately. How are you feeling today? Maybe we don't push as hard today. So this idea of falling off is a story in itself, or getting off track. Getting off track is part of the track. This is life, up, down, front, back.
Bumpy.
Yeah, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so the more support we get, cheerleaders in our corner supporting us, expert guidance, accountability, the more that we have that in our lives, we make it through the hard times. We do.
Yeah.
But it's not going to come from shove your feelings down and just do the thing. It's going to be a both and. Are you exhausted today? Oh, okay. All right. So let's pull back on the workout a little bit. Oh, you just want to talk? You need to process? Most of my clients who are dealing with pain, it's emotional pain too, by the way. They're tense, stressed, sleep deprived. So the strategies that would have them feeling better in their body is not to go create more inflammation in the body through resistance training. The process is to process your emotions, go get some rest, do some stretching, take an Epsom salt bath, and come back the next day. That's a better strategies, and it's going to lead to longevity. The opposite is true if you do the opposite. You're going to end up exhausted, stressed, joint pain, tight muscles, and then you're going to do something that's going to really put you out of commission. And then, hey, we all know we're emotional beings, all the emotions that come with that.
Right.
And then we go into this whole story. I'm off track. Oh, I can't do it. And then we go into the spiral. And why did I do that? I should have done this. Should have, could have, right? And then we get into the land of evaluation and all of that instead of the land of feelings and needs. We should ourselves and blame ourselves into doing the thing. And this is where it gets a little tricky because you do have to push yourself.
Exactly.
And that's why empathy is so important, because we all have our own answers. We all have the answers that are buried beneath the stories, that are buried beneath what's in the way. And I always say this, either get what you want or you get what is in the way. So you got to remove what's in the way in order to access that power that is within you. So that's not a do 10 more reps thing. That's a how you feeling today? What are you needing? And it's and again, there may be some pushback by some of the listeners. And I understand that because yes, while I say this in the same breath, I've been there. I've been shaking over a bench like, dehydrated and like feeling like I was about to pass out because I was so out of it. Slow, low carb, water loading, carb load. I did carb loading. And then I'm honest, I was on diuretics towards the very end, which I couldn't have got down to 4% body fat without them. And I was cramping every 2 seconds. My lips were glued together. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's a different level of,
But, it's a process. I did it. And I'm not saying, let's be clear about something. I'm not saying anything negative about that. Mm-hmm. I have some of my friends, I don't want to say closest friends, but friends that I have are still competitive to this day. And they're amazing people. It's not about you shouldn't do that because I'm not doing it now.
Right.
I mean, I'm just one guy still learning about life myself. Mm-hmm. But what I've done is this. I'm developing short lists of practitioners who specialize, even personal trainers in specific areas of focus. And that goes for other modalities, be it massage, chiropractor, all of it. So I need a short list of people in different areas because proximity is important for people too. So I want to be able to, as I give, I receive, right? That's the cycle of life. Breathe in, breathe out, right? So as I'm doing that, I'm enhancing my life, doing a service to the client, right? So, but what I'm getting to is that I'm calling in to my own practice, my relationships with the work I do with those who align with everything that I'm saying right now. And if other people are still in the phase of competition and pushing their body to that max, there's trainers here for that. There's one trainer who I work out of HQ Madison sometimes and also Unbox. 2 gyms that I train clients independently at. HQ Madison, Josh, he's a great competitor.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I would send people to him to train to compete. Not me. I'm not that guy. But I bring some of my clients there, and they're on a different journey. They have injuries. They're dealing with this, that, and the other. They want a compassion. I've had clients cry on the gym floor because they're processing emotions as they're lifting weights. Mm. So we stop. We process. The workout changes. That's the journey. So when you ask me about, when the road gets bumpy, how do you continue? For me, it's bring compassion, bring empathy, be with them through the process, through the bumps. Don't shame them. Don't say you should have done this, you should have done that. It's meet them where they are so they feel seen, heard. They process themselves just like you and I do. And then we have our own answers. I don't want to be told what to do with my life. Nobody does.
Right.
You can take advice, but you want to feel intrinsically motivated and act from that place. That's what I care about. And how do you access that? Empathy.
Yeah, there's not enough of that out there in the world.
No, everybody's an expert. Mm-hmm. And let me be clear about something for all your listeners. I am not an expert. I'm a compassionate trainer that knows quite a bit about training the body. I've been doing it professionally for almost 20 years, and I've been living it my whole life.
Right.
And I am 46 years old, and I still have so much to learn.
Yeah, I find for me, the gym is my therapy place. So when I feel well and I go to the gym and I feel strong, that is when emotionally I am in my favorite place. And so for me, it's very hard to take that recovery time. And my coach will call me on it because you need to deload. I'm like, I don't know that word. It's not good for me. So and for me personally, it's a balance to listen to my body and my mind and give it the right balance on those days that are hard for me physically, where I still need that mental boost. So that's just one thing I wanted to touch on. And then I also wanted to talk about how you are bringing people together of different modalities. That's how my Fit Tribe all started, because through my bodybuilding journey, I met so many people, not only on the stage and competitors, but the guy who did the deep tissue massage, the guy who did the alternative arc wave therapy, the chiropractor, the massage. And there's so many resources out there that all of us in this wellness field can share with people in order to try to get them when they do hit those bumps that are, physical or mental or whatever it is, that there's more support system to be able to help them. So I love that you're bringing that together. Super cool.
Our bodies are the best analogy. If you think about how many cells are working synergistically together, like, fighting, working together, just think about it, creating body, like organs, body systems, right?
Very complicated.
Well, we're the same. We're on this little planet, floating in outer space, Think about it.
Yeah.
Go to not a bird's eye view, like the cosmic view. We are cells. And we are either malignant, we're cancerous, we're independent, self-preserving, or we're communal, co-creating, enhancing, encouraging, loving. I want to be the latter. I don't want to be the former, right? I used to be the former. I can't do this because I got to do that. I got to do this. No, it was always really restricted. My life was small because of it. And again, if you're a competitor, you have to, there's certain foods you got to eat because it's what you got to eat.
Right.
I was eating 32 ounces of tilapia a day with a big bag of asparagus. My pee was like fluorescent. I felt like I was toxic as could be. You could smell it from down the block. It was terrible. Nobody wanted to be around me in every way, shape, and form possible when I was getting ready for like the Eastern USAs. And you know what, though? Like you said, it was still an awesome journey. Yep. But my thing is always this. And this is something for all of us to contemplate as people who are driven, but also, want to be there for the people around us and want to also excel. How do you go about doing that? And I don't have the answers for anybody else, but I know, again, for me, I'll use the word God. Please understand this is not religious. Use it for whatever, universe. Infinite intelligence, that which is moving in, through, and as us, right? That energy, I put that first. I allow it to guide me. Notice I didn't say him. It to guide me. I say yes to the things that are aligned. I lovingly say no to the things that are not, and I show up in service to those who I am called to serve. And as long as I'm operating from that place and living in alignment with myself, outside of just service for others, but living it too, because that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. Trainers out there, if you're not living it, don't teach it. Don't teach it. Don't present yourself as someone who is an expert in something that you're not living yourself. Then that's why I do the short list.
Right.
I can work on a trigger point on somebody. I know how to do it. Doesn't mean that I'm the guy for it. So, know your role. The Rock says it best. Jabronis, know your role. And co-create. That's my thing, is co-create with others. And again, the best analogy is breathing in and breathing out. We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide, we give back to the trees, and the trees give us oxygen. It's a cyclical pattern, and it's no different than what we choose to do in our lives. And I think that for competitors, I will say this because I've been backstage. People can be very, like just looking at other people and don't talk to, and just really not kind to each other. Joke around back there, man. Lighten up.
Well, and that goes even at the gym for anybody who's going to the gym. Most days when I go and I see someone working hard, I tell them, hey, you look great. You're doing a great job. You're working hard. And not to make them feel uncomfortable, but to let them know I see them, because it does take effort to go to the gym regularly. And I see that they're changing their body composition and they're working hard and that they're feeling good doing it. So if you're at the gym, tell somebody there, you look great, you're doing a great job. Or go to the gym and say hello to somebody new. But doing those little nice things for other people also changes your vibration to make you more in alignment. And we've had several podcasts that we have experts that come on and scientifically state that it's better for your health if you're helping other people. So it's really crucial that as we're learning to be our best version of ourselves with our body and our nutrition and our mind and our mindset and our spirit, that a big part of that last portion especially is making sure that we're weaving in being kind to other people and how much that is a part of the process.
And ourselves. It starts with ourselves. It's amazing how kind we can put on a show, a front, you know, be kind to people, but internally there's so much insecurity, self-doubt, you know, and that's what I lived with. You know, I was in a men's group, 2014. There's a lot of backstory. I got so many stories, as we all do. I was going to get married with this former partner I was talking about, and I called it off. But it took me being in a men's group in order for me to have the courage to move on and say, no, I'm canceling this. Now, that was a challenging time, but I'll never forget. I don't know, I might be exaggerating, but I think it was around 30 men outside. I think we were in Central Park somewhere, New York City. It was dark out. Huge circle of men. And I just remember, and I'm still connected with one of the guys on social media. He comes up to me and says, can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, you're fine.
Who the fuck are you? Yeah, you got, and at the time I was like 245, 50 pounds. So I was pretty thick and you know, my ego, I wanted to hurt that guy. I was like, who are you talking to? You know, all this. But upon reflection, he's like, yeah, you got big muscles. Yeah, yeah, okay. But who are you? Like, do you know who you are? And that stuck with me. Because our bodies, especially as we age, change. We're not our bodies. And so when I let go of that identity, even though I was still in it, when I reflected on that, I was like, I don't know. If I was honest with myself, which I was, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm not living aligned. I'm knowing myself all the time. I'm trying to put on a good show. I'm just putting on this facade. Like, I don't know who I am. I'm just doing stuff and holding on to this big body. Well, I was so not tuning into myself that I was going to get married to somebody that I knew wasn't aligned, but I was way too afraid. So you talk about somebody. So here's this guy, 245, 50-pound, muscular, no neck. My traps and my lower ears were roommates at the time, and I now have plenty of real estate in my neck. Feels good. So I only say that because once I started to tune into that, I was so scared. I was like a scared child. And then now I done some informal studying about childhood trauma and stuff and been doing some work with a therapist myself. And it all stems from way back then. And I'm not interested in going into that right now. But the point is that I realized like how I adapted. That's how I adapted. And I got validation. I actually got rewarded for being the way that I was.
Right.
So it became an identity. And so who am I outside of this? I don't know. So that's been the journey since. It's like, well, I am service. I am, you know, it's a choice. I am a fitness trainer. I am a husband. They're all just roles we play in this big play of life, right? This act. And we're none of them. And they change over time. So if you were that, you would be that all the time, the whole time. You have consciousness, but you're not. You know, I am a person who has two arms. Well, tomorrow you might have one.
Right.
I am still here. That's what you would say to yourself. So that's who you are. And that's why things like mindful walking, meditation, all the inner work is so important because you can do all the things physically, externally, achievement-oriented, but realize that it's still all a game. It's all an act. It's all you're writing a book, right? Like my chapter of competing has been written. I'm clear about that. Like of that part of being so big and taking steroids and stuff, you know, it's over. I'm a father.
Yep.
When I say I am a father, it's a role that I'm playing. But I'm going to show up. That's my goal. You guys, like people say, what's your goal? I'm here to serve my clients, but also be such a present, amazing father.
That's the most important one.
Teach my daughter to tune into her experience, her feelings, what she's needing, and be able to communicate that clearly. You know? So anyways, back to the fitness though, is I just think we can have it all. I think we don't have to wait, but most human beings have to go through their own process. Mm-hmm. You know, somebody 20-year-old bodybuilder listening to this right now may not resonate with some of it, maybe not any of it at all. I don't know. But I'm just speaking from my life experience and what feels aligned for me to say in the here and now. And, you know, if it resonates with any of your listeners, that's beautiful. And if anybody feels seen, heard, validated in this or inspired by it, you know, that's what I do. I bring the compassion, but also the fire. Like, I am going to hold you accountable. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you want your body to change, if you want to feel better, you got to do things that you currently aren't doing. And there's a reason you're not doing them. It's because it's uncomfortable.
Right.
So be prepared for that. And it's a process. And to have somebody not yelling at you is important for me.
Agreed. So before we wrap up, I just want to touch on one more thing. You know, you mentioned how being vulnerable is such a huge part of who you are now. How have you seen becoming that vulnerable person impact others? Because that's hard for people.
Yeah. Again, Marianne Williamson, shine your light, and it gives other people permission to do the same. Hey, lead with vulnerability because I want intimacy in my life. And I'm not talking about the physical touch stuff. I'm talking about intimate relationships. I want to know people. And if I'm not leading with that, they're not going to open up. I got to be the example. Like Gandhi says, be the change you want to see. Be it. Be the doer. Don't boast about it. Silently do it. And then, show up compassionately. Be curious about other people. Ask questions. Listen. And that goes for us too. In silent moments, listen. Life will call. The question is, are we afraid to answer the call? Or are we holding on to some thought or identity that has us being who we currently are? And in our culture, that's known as, things like fortitude and perseverance, and that's all valid if you're pursuing something. But listen, life is transient. It changes. That is the nature of life. Like, we are a part of nature, and it is literally every second changing, evolving, changing form.
Right.
Water is 3 different forms depending on the climate. Snow, ice, water. It can be steam. My thing is, what kind of an internal environment am I creating? And am I creating that in physical form? I guess that's the best way I could put it.
Yeah. And then too, I think, we go through life and sometimes we think we have it all figured out only to have it not figured out. But that's the whole point. Like, you're always going to be presented with another challenge, another lesson, another point that you need to evaluate yourself or grow or whatever, however you want to say it. But that's the journey. What's the fun in never having it all figured out? Then you'd be bored.
Yeah. We want safety and control.
Yeah.
That's what we want. I think we can all agree on that. I know I want to feel safe and in control. That's not life. Exactly. But, there's if you look at it like a ring, right? There's things within your control that you can do. How you react to that, which you can't control, is one example.
Exactly.
Right? So you lose an arm, you can go into victim consciousness, or you can go to creator consciousness. Now you got to go through a grieving process, the pain of it all, even the suffering for a while, some depending on the person. And then eventually you reach a point where it's like, okay, I now have one arm based on my physical ability, right? Well, now with prosthetics it's different, but the point is I have one arm. Now what do I get to create?
Right.
Now what?
Yeah.
That I couldn't before. And that's the difference, And I think that's the key is you can be spiritual and optimistic and a doer in life.
Absolutely.
It's a both and.
That's a great combination.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap up this podcast by asking you the question that I ask all my guests. So it's a 2-part question. So if you, Jamie, today could have a conversation with Jamie of the past, the one who was living in that musty basement, hitting rock bottom, what would you tell him?
You're safe. You will always be supported. The net is always there. And let go of your limiting beliefs because you're only basing those beliefs on your past and what limited life experience you have had. And this world is vast. There's a lot to learn and to grow into. So allow it to happen. Allow it. And say yes to the things that are aligned.
So now you, Jamie, today can have a conversation with Jamie of the future. You can pick 20, 30 years, maybe sitting with your daughter. What would you ask to your future self, and what do you think he would say back to you?
How'd I do? And I think based on my actions, my future self would say, you did all right. You did all right. Maybe in the next life you'll bump up the higher percentage of enlightenment, but you did pretty good this time around.
Yeah, I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for
I appreciate
having
the conversation.
me. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to my Fit Tribe podcast. Tune in weekly for our latest episode for more health and wellness insights and inspiration. For more information, visit myfittribe.org. Please note that the opinions and comments presented here are those of the guests and do not necessarily constitute medical advice or the opinions of My Fit Tribe. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. This podcast is a production of My Fit Tribe, LLC. The My Fit Tribe podcast is recorded and produced by Jake Johnson at Paradigm Productions in Madison, Wisconsin. Don't forget to download, subscribe, and follow the My Fit Tribe podcast so you don't miss an episode. Thank you for your support.